Hello, welcome to this video. My name is the Deathcaster. Today I will be doing a video on how to program an admin command script the way I do. It's fairly simple. It's similar to Kohl's admin infinite with how he does his, but it doesn't do batched commands or fancy stuff like that. It's fairly simple with what it does. So let's get right into this. Now, I just want to give a little disclaimer that this is going to be done in an quote-unquote OG kind of way, original kind of way, how older admin commands did it. So there's not going to be any table dot finds, table, I think there's a table dot clone now, I'm not too sure, but none of those. So let's go ahead, and we want to set up, say, for our higher ranked admins, let's call them perm admins, permanent admins. Then we want to have our lower ranked admins called temp admins, temporary admins. I think I'll do a ban list after, since it's not really important right now. So let's go ahead and do our check admin. So we want to have it return the player's name, but we also want to have a bool to check for temp, or it's actually the name is check if temp. That makes more sense. So for count is equal to 1. Number and perm admins do, because we want to make sure that they're an admin. Perm admin count lower equal to player name, then return true. There's actually a little something that I forgot to do just now. We want to lower this string to remove case sensitivity. Now for our temp admins, we want to do if check if temp, then basically doing the same thing as we did for perm admins, but we're doing it for temps now. If temp admins count lower is equal to player name, return true. Now, what these basically do is this checks if their name, for this first for loop, checks if they're in the perm admins list. It checks their name, compares everything in that array, and if it finds a match, it returns true, and same thing for temp admins. But you want to make sure afterwards that you have a return false, telling the program that it did not find a match at all when searching. So now we have our temp and perm admin checks. So now what we want to do is create our OnChatted function. Let's have it take the player and what they said, player message. Let's create some white space, make this easier. So what we want to do here is, let's head back up here actually. Let's create a variable for our prefix. Personally, I like using an exclamation point, but you can make it however you want. This is just the way I do it. If message substring 1 prefix length is equal to prefix, then message is message sub 1 plus number. Actually, let's not do it that way. Len. Oops. There we go. Alright, so actually let's make a little change with our check admin function. Let's actually return numbers, because doesn't in Kohl's admin, some regular users can use commands. This will take it into account for that. So now what we want to do is local command args, short for command arguments, is message. We're going to be using the split method colon. I personally like using colons over spaces. Looks a lot better to me in my opinion. Plus it'll remove a lot of issues having to use concatenation with, say, if you want to announce messages and such. Alright, so now from here we can do local command keyword is command args 1. Now after we do that, we want to remove that first item in the command args array, because otherwise it'll return the command keyword, and we don't want that for these purposes. Alright, so now what we want to do is we want to, I just realized something. How can we have an admin command script if we don't have any commands? So what we want to do here is local commands, set that to a blank array or table. I use array dictionary. I say those keywords because I'm used to C#. But anyways, we want to do, let's actually name this admin commands. So admin commands say that we want to have a kill command. Let's actually make this an array, and then let's have their power be 1. Let's say for this, we want to have this return the player and the arguments. But now what we want to do here for our third item in this array is, say, a player parameter. Now, this is where things are going to get interesting. But for now, let's set up for our command. So if admin commands command keyword, let's say, is not equal to nil, then admin commands command keyword 1 execute with player, and I'm gonna have those 3 dot, or let's just have it be a 6 for now, since we don't actually have anything set up to return our arguments. That's gonna be a bit of an issue, right? Well, not to worry, because this is where the fun part comes in. We create a new function method called return args for command. And for this, we want to have the player, the speaker admin, be returned. Then we want to have the command parameters be returned. And then we want to have the player args be returned. Oh, this is so much fun, isn't it? Indeedy it is. So now what we want to do is for count is equal to 1. Command parameters do. Now you might be wondering why we're doing this for the command parameters. Well, let's say that a user's command args don't have the same amount as the command parameters. Let's say that they return two arguments when or two parameters when the command requires 3. Well, if we were to do number in player args, then it would only do 2 times and not the 3 times that our command requires. Alright, so let's continue. Let's say that if command parameters count is equal to player, in this instance we have a kill command which is going to require this, so we want to have that. And so let's say that they didn't return anything. However, if player args count is not equal to nil, make sure that they return something. Local player list, go to that. Then __ second player in I pairs, game.players get players do. Then we want to do if second player dot name substring 1 player args count length equal to player args count, then insert into the player list second player. Excellent. Now, you might be wondering, why are we returning a table in the first place? Well, that is because in the future, if you want to have it return multiple people based upon arguments, say player 1, player 2, player 3, admins, non-admins, team, allies, then you want to have to do this. Oh, and I forgot a little something else. We want to actually have an array to return our args. Args to return for command. I know my variables are long, but that's just the way I name them. So args to return for command, player list. Now, let's say here that the player didn't enter in a parameter for this. So what we want to do here is table.insert args to return for command, an empty array. Perfect. Now, for this bit, that's actually set up for a message command. So what we want to do here is else if command parameters is this, then if player args count is not equal to nil, then args to return, put table.insert args to return player args count. But if not, then table.insert args to return for command a blank string. Not sure why Script analysis is saying that there's a problem. Okay, that's weird, but oh well. Now, if you hadn't noticed, there's actually a bit of a problem here with this line right here. You want to know what that is? Well, let's say that the player had, for some reason, used a semicolon for his message command. It'll only show the first part of that message, and it wouldn't show the next. So, what we want to do next is create a new variable called concated string. Set that to a blank string. Now for count2 is set to count because we want to start where our current player arg is at. Then we want to do number and player args. Do concated string is string dot format. So return s with s concated string player args count 2. And now we want to get rid of this little bit right here. Replace it with concated string. All right, now that we have that, we can go and work on our number parameter. Command parameters count equal to number. Say we want to return a number. Same thing we've been doing here. Make sure that's not nil. And if it's not nil, then we want to do table.insert args to return to number player args count. But for this, we actually want to do or 0. Because what if what the player had given wasn't a number? Let's return something just in case. Else table.insert args to return for command 0. Okay, script analysis is being weird right now. I don't know why it's giving these many underlines. The code's all right. All right, so now what we want to do after this is to return our arguments, because we want to have the command script actually use them. So now here what we want to do is this line of within this if statement, conditional statement, however you want to call it, local args for command is equal to, what did I name this before? I don't remember. Return args for command. Want to return the player. We want to return the command. Is that correct? Oh no, these are the player args right here. So create right there. And then we want to do admin commands, command keyword 3. Oops. Why did it do that? That was weird. So that it gets this part right here. Then for that, want to return our actual arguments. Now this is where we set up our actual command, the fun part. So what we want to do here is for underscore second player in iPairs args 1 do if second player dot character is not equal to nil, intelligence It isn't working correctly right now for some reason. I don't know why. But anyways, if second player that character is not equal to nil, then second player dot character break joints. Classic way of killing a player. Now, let's say that we want to have a announcement command, a message command. Then what we can do here is admin commands dot m is set to function player args and make this Furr string. So now what we want to do here is first off, we want to filter our message because we don't want our game taken down. Game.chat filter string for broadcast args 1 player, the player who said it. Then, although deprecated, just as an example for this tutorial, we do message, create a new message object, message object dot text is filtered message, then message object parent is game.workspace. But we want to have our message be destroyed afterwards, after it's displayed for a bit. So we want to do game.debris add item message object, then args 1 length divided by 20 plus 2.5. So for every 20 characters there is a second, and then we have an added count of 2.5 seconds, 2.5 seconds to display. Now, you might be wondering, I don't see anything checking for admins, and you would be right. So, what we want to do here in our chat OnChatted function is within the same if state or conditional statement. We want to have and admin commands command keyword 2 is less than or equal to check admin player dot name true. And it's as simple as that. Oh, actually, we want to have a lower right here to remove case sensitivity, don't we? Now, for this next part, we are going to be going over multiple parameters. Let's say that you want to have a teleport command. So we want to do admin commands dot teleport is equal to set to an array function player args set up an end 1. Let's say player. These command parameters are case sensitive, so keep that in mind. So now what we want to do is for underscore second player in I pairs args 1 do for double underscore third player in I pairs args 2 do if second player dot character is not equal to nil, and third player dot character is not equal to nil, then let us get their humanoid root part. Let's actually name this second player humanoid root part is second player dot character find first child humanoid root part, and third player humanoid root part is third player dot character find first child humanoid root part. Check if I'm doing a copy and paste here because IntelliSense is acting up for some reason. Check if they're not nil. Check if they had found the humanoid root parts. Did I spell them right? Humanoid root part. Humanoid. Yep, I did. Alright, so now what we want to do is teleport the second player. So, second player humanoid root part dot cframe. Set that to the third player dot cframe. Now you can choose to leave it as this, but what I like to do is set up a little math.random bit so that they're not exactly in the same position as the third player, second player they're teleporting to every time. Boom. Simple as that. We now have our 2-parameter command. Now, you might be wondering, what about multiple keywords? Like, say, you don't want to have to type out teleport every time. Well, it's actually a lot simpler than you think. You type in admin commands dot tp is set to admin commands dot teleport. What that does is it sets a reference to the original teleport command. And from there, if we go to type out the command, if we type TP, then it'll execute this right here. Yippee! So now, what we want to do now is local function on player added. Sorry about that. I had to go do something. I'm back. So as I was saying before, what we want to do now is set up something for when a player joins the game. Because we do want to have admins be able to use the commands, right? So what we want to do is create a onPlayerAdded method function that returns the player. And here we want to do player.chatted connect function message, and then on chatted we want to call our function above message. Now that we have our method set up, what we want to do is, after all these commands, we want to type game.players.playerAdded connect on player added. Boop. Simple as that. So now let's go up here and let's add our admin. I'm going to add myself, and I'm going to be the top of the board. I'm going to be a perm admin. So let's go ahead and close this tab. Let's go ahead and test. Let's go ahead and start debugging. Let's see if we get it in one go. It'd be great if we get it in one go. That'd be perfect. Yes, my character might look familiar. So let's try and kill ourselves. No? Let's check if there is an error in the output. Looks like the MIDI player is still acting up. Oh, right. I didn't set up for that. Killed the... Nope. Which means there's now a bit of a problem. Now we want to figure out what is happening. So let's head back down here. See if we got everything right. Was I typing the command right? It looks like I was. So now comes this whole fun part. Let's see if this is executing. Got command and admin rank passed. So let's see if this executes. I have a feeling it will. Come on. So let's try and kill me. Yep, that passed. Which means there's a problem here. So let's take a look at what we are giving it. So we are giving it the parameters. Am I forgetting one? Nope, that looks right. That looks right. What about our command args? Where we split them? Nope, those look right, which means, yep, it is indeed a problem here. Let us see what is going on. Print dot player arg. Print inserted player. Second player dot name. Now, let's see what happens when we go to execute now. Let's do kill the... So it got the player arg, but it's not inserting. I wonder why that could be. Let's take a look here. Now I see the issue. Case sensitivity. The big one. Our biggest offender. So let's lower those to lower, make them all lowercase. So now, if we do our test, let's do kill the... Yay, it worked! So only one thing was messed up, but now it works. Let's say for our message command, let's say hello world. See if that works. Let's say if we use a semicolon, hello world, how are you? Oh, a little bit of a oopsie there, but oh well, not too much of an issue there. Now let's say teleport the... It doesn't look like it, but I actually did move. But let's go ahead and remove these prints now, since we no longer need them. Did I forget any? Nope. All right. And that is how you would implement or create your own admin script similar to Kohl's Admin Infinite. Like I already stated, it's not exactly like Kohl's Admin Infinite. It's the way I personally do it. It doesn't take into account optional parameters, and it doesn't take into account batch commands. If you don't know what batch commands are, they are basically commands you could do within one single chat line. So say if I were to do, using the command bar right here, kill player, and then afterwards we want a private message the player saying, ha ha ha, killed you. That's batch commands. You can't do that here. It's not possible. But this is a good starting point if you wanted to get started making an admin command script. Alright. Actually, before I end this video, I mentioned before about a band list, didn't I? Let's actually create our band list. Let's call this Bandland Classic. And this one's fairly simple. Local function, check band, player name. Player name is player name lower. We're doing something similar to the above, only this time we're not going to be using numbers. If bandland count, we're going to be using booleans. If the name matches, return true, and if not, return false. Now if we go down here, let's say if check band player.name, then let's create our end. You'll see what I'm doing in a minute, perhaps less than a minute. Player kick your band from the server. Actually, let's say you're banned from the game because they won't be able to join period while they're in the list. Alright, that's how you implement your ban list. It's actually fairly simple, isn't it? Indeedy it is. Now, you might be wondering, what about owner admins? How do I pick up owners of the game or owners of the group? Well, that's actually very simple too. What you do is we set up a variable called creator ID, set that to game.creator ID. But this is where you have to be careful, because if this is a group game, then this creator ID isn't going to get the group owner. It's going to actually get the group ID. So what you actually want to do here is if game.creator type is enum creator type group, then to check if this is a group game, we want to get our group service is game get service group service. Local group info is group service. Get info async. Creator ID. And then we want to do creator ID. Oh, actually, should we set up a pcall? Yeah, I think we should set up a pcall here since it's making a web request. So we want to do pcall group service dot get group async group group service, creator ID, and we want to create a new variable right here. Got info. Oops. No spaces. We don't want a space. If got info and group info is not equal to nil, then creator ID is set to group info dot owner dot ID. And that's it. That's all you need to do to get the owner ID. Now, to actually implement it, we could head here into our check admin. Actually, let's try a little something else instead. Let's go down to our command. Here, if admin command, that is... Yeah, this will work. Or player.user ID is equal to creator ID. Now, the big one here is we want to set up some parentheses and wrap them around this part. Because if not, it's just going to check if these are not equal to false, or if they're true. But if this is false, or if this is false, it's going to check for this. And if this returns true, it's going to try and get the command and run it. But we don't want that. So what this if statement is saying right here is, if it finds the command, and in parentheses, if the power is greater than or equal to, or if it's the creator of the game, then execute. Now, since I'm not the owner of this game, because I'm using an empty base plate, it's not going to pick me up. But if you were to test this entire bit of code, it should work as expected. Alright, I believe that just about covers it all. Let me know down in the comments below if you have any questions or just anything to comment in general, any suggestions, ideas, or things that could have been done better. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching, and have a good day. Bye-bye.